We will all pay for the sins made by our elders.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of End and Explain. My name is John here on Burns Reviews, and today we were talking about the new film titled The Cursed by Sean Ellis. We're going to be talking about a lot of spoilers, so if you haven't seen The Cursed, be sure to check out the movie and come back, or be sure to check out my spoiler-free movie review right here. I'll leave the link down below. And without any further ado, let's talk about it, The Cursed. So The Cursed opens up in 1917. No, not that 1917, but close. And it's the Battle of the Somme. And, you know, we have this captain, and he's been shot 3 times in the chest, and they bring him into a medical tent, and they're pulling out the shrapnel, and it's really gruesome. It's really bloody. And they find that, wait, there's not just, like, regular bullets in this man. There's a giant silver bullet 3 times bigger. And we're sitting there watching going, wait a second. Was there a silver bullet in the machine gun that shot him? Is he a werewolf? What's going on? So we skip back 35 years and we meet him as a little boy. Now he's 10 years old and he's the son of a very wealthy landowner named Seamus Laurent, I think it was. I'm going to be calling him Fraser for the entire duration of this video because he looks a lot like Fraser.
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling, toss salads and...
So, from the get-go, this Seamus guy, not a great guy. He's a landowner, and he wants that little tiny bit of land that doesn't belong to him. It belongs to a whole tribe of gypsies. There's like maybe 15 or 20 of them. You know, the second time around, I'm looking at it going, there's like 10 tents on that reservation. And it's on like maybe half an acre of land. And at first I was like, well, maybe because the budget for the film was kind of small, and then I'm like, no, this guy is that damn petty. He doesn't even put anything on that land. I mean, they have the scarecrow, but I'm like, he didn't even use it. This guy's just a dick. But regardless, he kills all the gypsies. And before they get killed, the lead gypsy lady who believes in like witchcraft and stuff like that, she knows that this is coming. So she goes and she gets the 30 pieces of silver that originate all the way back to when Judas received said silver in exchange for knowledge of where Jesus is. So this silver from going back from like back in the day, the silver's been cursed. She has her blacksmith melt it down and make these set of nice looking choppers that you see here in the poster. They kill the guy, they chop his hands off, they chop his feet off, they turn him into a human scarecrow, which totally won't come back to bite him in the ass later, and they bury the woman alive with the teeth. Why they don't sell it for silver? Kind of beyond me, but that's what they do. So, skip ahead a little bit, and everybody in this town is now completely, as the movie would suggest, cursed. And they're all having the same exact dream that involves the scarecrow coming to life and the teeth that are buried underneath it. And I think like 5 or 6 kids, led by little Timmy over here, they have a real stand by me moment. They go out to the field, they promise not to tell anybody, and they dig up the teeth. And little Timmy puts them in his mouth and just loses his damn mind. He bites Edward. Timmy runs away. Edward gets taken back inside. He's got a fever. He's burning up. They send a doctor in. They think he was bitten by a wolf. None of the kids tell the truth about what really happened. And Timmy is now hiding in a little, like, confessional box in a church, right? So the daughter of Fraser goes and visits Timmy, and he's like, "What?" She's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Hey, listen, you know, we're being punished. I got this Bible verse, you know, Ezekiel 22:22. It's Judas all over again. I'm going to give it to you to hold on to because, you know, we're all going to be paying for the sins of our fathers." So, cut to, we meet our hero in the film, John McBride, and he's a pathologist and he's trying to track down these gypsies because, well, he wants his own revenge because he blames the gypsies for what happened to his family, but we'll come back to that later. When he gets to the town, things have escalated because it turns out that little Timmy was killed by the beasts and Edward is still in the wind and they can't find him. The whole family is losing their mind because they're like, we need to find him. They're having dinner, they're crying, they can't keep it together. John McBride's like, don't worry about it. I'll stay around. I'll investigate. I'll help. And he's really like an Ichabod Crane type, you know, in Sleepy Hollow. I got really strong Sleepy Hollow vibes from this movie in the best possible way. You know, the gray, smoky atmosphere, the constable who comes to town who decides he's going to help. He's the only one who's smart enough to figure this out. And you know, he's got a past with this curse because he's dealt with these gypsies before, and he knows more than everybody else there. So he goes out there, he sets traps, he makes one of those like spiky hole traps, you know, kind of like the one in the movie The Hunt, and it works because the beast falls right in, and he double taps it, he shoots it, you know? And then they have the autopsy scene, and man, this scene is creepy. It's straight out of the movie The Thing. You know, that's the movie they're paying homage to. I was reading the press kit. Sean Ellis did say that he wanted to make something that was a little bit more unconventional. He wanted to make a movie that didn't have a werewolf that was all hairy and howling at the moon. So he was actually more inspired by Aliens and the movie The Thing, and it really does show here. I love how it's this weird white creature with like bloody parts to it. It felt pretty genuine. The only thing I didn't like were like the tentacles and the CGI. And there's another scene in the movie where I think like the maid or somebody gets pulled into the lake, and we see like the vines get wrapped around her, and it just feels so cheap. And you could have cut that scene altogether. You don't need it. But yeah, sure enough, you know, one by one, people just drop left and right. You know, eventually he takes them all, he puts them in a church. Again, reminds me of Sleepy Hollow a little bit. John McBride pieces it all together, he figures it out. Basically, the same exact thing happened to him and his family. He was away, and I think it was a town called Jabador. So he knows that I know how to end this. You know, we need the silver teeth. He melts them down to bullets, and he's like, if I can shoot it, I can end it. So long story short, Fraser, you know, he gets bitten by the maid. You know, he decides to light himself on fire, and it's pretty brutal. And we see horses that are lit on fire, the house is on fire, and now everybody convenes back at the church. They're gonna wait for morning, and then they're gonna wait for like the army to show up, they're gonna wait to go hunt it, but they're not gonna open the doors. Alright? They all fall asleep. Every last one of them. Not one of them stays up to watch guard, except for the mom. And she hears little Edward's voice on the other side of the door. She opens the door like an idiot, and of course the beast tears the shit out of everybody in that church. John McBride shooting at it, the other villagers are trying to shoot at it, and again, this is like that pure chaos scene taken straight out of Sleepy Hollow, which I think is great. Eventually the mom, and this works, is just like, stop! And Edward just stops dead in his tracks, and John McBride is standing right behind the mom, and he's like, you know what, screw it. He shoots right through the mom into Edward, killing the mom immediately. Edward comes to. He's not possessed by the curse or the wolf or anything like that. He seems to be okay, but he doesn't remember anything. But John McBride says, you know what? I'm going to adopt you and your sister, and we're going to get away from all this, and you're going to be okay. But this is why the bullet was lodged into his body 35 years later when he is now a captain. You know, it's been in his body for 35 years. And we find out that John McBride did raise the two kids. The captain dies, you know, the bullet is taken out of him. It's sent back to the sister. The sister puts it on a nightstand next to the photograph of the three of them. And she's watching, you know, her stepdad, John McBride, who's on his deathbed, and he passes away, and she's just alone, and that's it. The curse is presumably over. Before we wrap it up, I do have a director's statement right here, which I think is kind of an interesting take from Sean Ellis. He said, "The curse was born from the desire to reimagine and update the werewolf legend for a modern-day audience. I wanted to play on the known folklore of the legend and give it a fresh approach to the cliched story devices that have been copied from the original 1941 film, The Wolfman, for which the wolf was a metaphor for being born Jewish pre-World War II. I started to think about how a modern audience could identify with the werewolf curse through what plagues us in modern society. One thing I focused on was addiction, whether it be drugs, our phones, or anything else, and how that addiction can destroy families and communities. We have all experienced that wolf that lurks inside of us, that whispers to us, that sometimes leads us to stray from the right path and make us prisoners to its impulses." Now, here's the thing. If you had told me that this was a movie about maybe immigration or something, I'd be like, alright, that's the metaphor, that's the theme, maybe. Personally, I think that this movie is about revenge. I think it's about curses. It's like, you know, listen, it's about karma, you know, it's about vengeance. It's a revenge story, you know, down to its core. It has a lot to do, like, it reminds me of, what's that movie? Drag Me to Hell, or even Thinner. We have a gypsy curse in both of those films. At no point did I get a feeling that this was about addiction to anything. You know, it's not like little Timmy was going out into the woods every night, putting the teeth in his mouth, and every night he got a little bit stronger like the wolf, and the addiction took him over and turned him into a wolf. Nobody wanted to be a wolf. Nobody became addicted to it. The closest thing I could think of when I hear addiction in this movie is the fact that Seamus was addicted to being greedy because he had to have that little speck of land. But I feel like greed as an addiction is kind of a stretch. I really don't think he's like, oh, addicted to alcohol or cell phones and stuff like that. This movie has that. No, it doesn't. But, you know, look, I still really enjoyed it. I give it a 7 out of 10. Seeing it on the big screen, so much better. But be sure to comment down below if you like early movie reviews, end and explain videos, side-by-side comparisons, you name it. We have all that here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you don't miss out. I have been John here on Bird's Views. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.